Needless to say that despite what you may be led to believe on many other prepping channels or on television, the majority of people in the prepping community actually live in urban areas. They're in heavily populated cities or in surrounding suburbs and annexes with large populations. Therefore, today we'll be taking a look at some talking points that you may want to consider if you live in or near a major metropolitan area. So let's go ahead and get started in no particular order. Number 1, not knowing your environment. It amazes me sometimes how little people know about the area that they actually live in. They can live on a certain street or in a particular neighborhood for years and not know what's around the corner. Either that or they have a good idea where they're going, if they're driving, but aren't familiar with their surroundings outside of the car. So take some time to get out and walk around your neighborhood. Figure out how the streets intersect. See if there's any nearby water sources. If you had to flee your neighborhood on foot without being seen, where would you go? How would you do it? These are things you need to think about now, rather than later when it may be too late. Number 2, drawing attention. If you are forced to bug in, you don't want any unwanted attention. In fact, you may not want anyone to know you're around at all. Lights, noise, cooking smells, and other common activities that we commonly take for granted will attract people to your location. And you don't want that. The more people you have to deal with, the more problems you will have in the long run. Number 3, lack of security. Odds are you'll be bugging in during an emergency. There are very few of us that have the luxury of a dedicated bug-out location. So if you're going to hunker down, you need to make sure that your location is as secure as possible. And few people have thought far enough ahead in this area to secure their home or apartment for the possibility of a long-term SHTF situation. Sure, you may have an alarm system and feel safe now, but what happens when there's no power for days at a time, or possibly even indefinitely? Number 4, no water. You're stockpiling food, but what about water? You should have some emergency water stowed away as well as some system in place for purification should the need arise. You may also want to consider the possibility of finding locations where water can be procured during an emergency, such as a nearby lake or stream. Water is much more important to your survival than the food because your body's need for water will supersede the need for food. You can go a lot longer without eating than you can go without hydrating. And water is one of those resources we seriously take for granted in modern society. So think about alternatives to your kitchen faucet now before it's too late, unless you really want to spend 5 hours a day in a FEMA line. Number 5, unlawfulness. Needless to say, crime will go up during a long-term grid down situation. Crime increases during SHTF with the grid up and running. So you can imagine how much worse it would get, particularly if people start becoming desperate due to their unprepared situations. Many of them will be running the streets, looting and rioting, and you don't need to be among them. Let them fight with each other and fight with authorities and get injured and killed without you. The smart prepper will stay safely out of harm's way. Number 6, getting trigger happy. Now I'm not saying don't defend yourself. If the chips are down, you do what you have to do, but don't go looking for any excuse to start fighting. There are a lot of preppers out there who think the street will be open season as soon as the lights go out, and this may not be the best way to handle things. First of all, it draws a lot of unwanted attention. It also lets people know that you are armed. Also, you never know when someone will start shooting back, and they might be better than you. In short, pick your battles carefully. You don't have to shoot every person who walks by. Number 7, refusing to bug out. I'm all for the idea of hunkering down during a crisis, but sometimes there comes a time where you absolutely have to cut and run. And there are too many people who aren't prepared to get out of Dodge when SHTF has gone on for too long. I get that many people really have no place to go, but you should still have a plan for the possibility of having to leave regardless. There's no right or wrong with bugging in versus bugging out. They're both the right answer, depending upon the circumstances. Like the man said, Know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. Number 8. No fuel. A good rule of thumb is to consider a half tank to be an empty tank. We don't all share the luxury of having a place to store gasoline, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't make your best effort to keep that tank full. Because when the trucks stop rolling, the gas stations will run out all at once, and you'll be stranded. Number 9. Poor physical conditioning. As I've said 1,000 times, you are your own best prep. If you're not in good physical condition, then it's a disadvantage for you. You don't have to be a full-on athlete, but you should be in the best possible condition for your age, barring any legitimate illness that hinders your ability to exercise. And number 10, tying in with number 9, no training. This is the one that bugs me quite a bit. There are too many preppers out there who just own stuff. They stockpile food, weapons, medical supplies, and other goods, but they have no viable skills, or they don't know how to efficiently use the equipment that they do have. Like the saying goes, practice makes perfect. So get out there and practice, because when the chips are down is the wrong time to take a crash course. And you just knew I had one more for you, didn't you? Call it number 11 if you will. Running your mouth. Here I go again, and I'm sure many of you longtime viewers already know where I'm going with this. But too many preppers like to brag about their stockpiles of food, weapons, and supplies. Either that, or they love trying to recruit anyone and everyone, even though most people think that they are crazy. Well, I'll tell you that those people who thought you were crazy and ignored you then will certainly remember what you said and that you've got what they need when things hit the fan, and they'll come sniffing around for a handout. So just be very selective about what you say to who when you're trying to feel people out to see if they might be interested in prepping. So I hope you found this video interesting. If you have any further points pertaining to the video, please do feel free to post them in the comments section down below. Please do give the video a thumbs up. Always appreciated. Easiest way to show your appreciation. Share it if you can and subscribe if you are new. And be sure to hit the bell icon so you can be alerted when new content comes out. And do check out some of the other videos if you get the chance. If you would like to help the channel out, there are links for that down below. Every little bit helps, and I sure do appreciate it. And by the way, I can also be found on another channel called Coffee Talk. Check it out if you get the chance. There is a link for that down below as well. So that being said, as always, stay frosty, folks, and thanks for watching.